Good morning, YouTube friends. It's a rainy morning here. It was a rainy day yesterday, and I spent the whole day in my studio trying to catch up on all the stuff I need to do. I've got so many projects, and many of them are still active right now. So I'm going to share with you all the stuff going on in my studio. I need to get some of this stuff done and finished, but it is all very fun, and I'm so glad to be back home from my long trip to Mississippi and be able to do my studio work again. Um, this is my peaceful place. I love to light incense and light a candle and start doing creative things. I have discovered that this is kind of my personal therapy. Sometimes we need professional therapy, but we also have personal therapy. And someone asked recently, what do you do? What's your coping mechanism for your stress or your anxiety or whatever? And I realized that the reason why I do so much creative stuff is to kind of self-treat all stress and things like that. And maybe you do too, and that's just fine. It's a very healthy way to treat your stress. So but then there comes a point where all of the craft activity and artwork you do becomes overwhelming, and it's not helpful for your stress. It actually creates stress. So it's a fine line we all have to keep after. Well, let me share with you this morning all that I'm working on right now. So furthest away from my desk are things that are curing, and they don't take any trouble from me right now that I finally got them cut. Here's that batch of 3 soaps. And what are they, about a week into their curing process? So they're doing nicely, and so I'm just letting them rest. Here's a second batch of shampoo bars, because you know what? I have sold all but, let me see, here's what I had so far. 1, 2, I've only got 4 bars left. I thought I was staying ahead of myself, and I'm barely staying ahead of myself. My real difficulty with my shampoo bars is that I'm using orange juice containers as my molds right now, and I'm just simply not able to drink enough orange juice to stay ahead of my shampoo bar needs. So I'm going to have to find a different mold situation for them, and I may end up with square shampoo bars, but I don't like that because people want to hold it in their hand like this, and this is just the perfect size. So I'm not sure. I may have to get myself a round mold. Okay, so moving on from there, this is some old lavender soap that's still curing a little bit. Oh goodness, it's probably 3 or 4 weeks in, so I just let a little air get to it. Haven't wrapped it up yet. I have to get after my card painting. As soon as I sell cards, I make new ones and then those sell, and it's very hard to stay ahead and I can't keep my inventory up. That's my difficulty. There's my farmer's market baskets. I haven't been back to the farmer's market yet because honestly it's been too cold. And I want to show you this. Of all the things I've painted recently, I think this is my favorite. This is a bigger piece, so it's harder to sell bigger pieces even if you don't make them expensive, but I just love that. My husband's not fond of it. There's something about it, something about the color, the looseness, the petals. I don't know. I'm thinking about framing that and putting it in the house. I'm pondering that. Okay. Oh goodness. Well, okay, so these are some vests that I still need to make for my husband, but he has to lose weight, so I don't feel guilty about that because I'm not going to do that till he loses weight, and that's on him. Here's the fabric and the Sherpa for making those baby slippers. I did mail the first pair to my daughter, so got that done. I don't think about that stuff. See, look, back here, there's some roving that still needs to be spun. I haven't done any spinning. Okay, this is an order that's getting ready to go to somebody. 2 bee balms and 5 shampoo bars. But she also wants 2 healing herb ointments, and I have to make that yet. This is an order of cards. These are I cut these yesterday. 50 cards that are 4 inches by 5 1/4. And so those are going to be slightly different than my usual cards, greeting cards. These are little, almost like postcards. That's for a customer. This is an order for a customer. These are little teeny, like purse size, and she wanted a whole bunch. She wanted 20, at least 20 of these. They're going to go into the guest bags at a party. And I'm going to I'll make a fresh batch of bee balm and put those in there. So I'm about to finish that up. So there's some orders. I rarely have like a line of orders waiting. Here's a card I made that I need to scan. But my scanner, which is over there, is fiddly and finicky and doesn't always behave. It's also dusty. Okay, so here's the desk. So today I've got to make the bee balm for those little tubs. So that's what the olive oil, coconut oil, beeswax. There's the beeswax in there. At least it's already cut up, then it won't be too hard. Vitamin E oil and grapefruit essential oil. That's for that. Make that in my double boiler. I think I'm going to just weigh those ingredients in here at my desk. And then the other thing I need to do is I need to make, here's the recipe, dandelion lotion bars, or as I call them, insect repellent lotion bars. Haven't made these in 2 years. I didn't make them last year because of COVID. I didn't go to the farmer's market. But as soon as the mosquitoes start, which is like any minute now, and they're called dandelion lotion bars because you start with dried dandelion flowers, okay? So these are some that I picked about 3 days ago, and they were huge. And I brought them inside to let them dry, air dry, in this basket that I hang up. And of course they close up. Now these are still too moist. You don't want to put anything moist into an oil or the water will hang out in there. And anywhere you have water, you can grow bacteria. So these need to be dried. Well, talk about dried. I found some in a Ziploc bag that I dried 2 years ago. These are well dried. And what you do is you take dried dandelion flowers and you infuse them into safflower oil. This is why these recipes are time consuming, because you have to pick the flowers when they come out in the spring, especially when you have that nice big bloom of dandelions before they get mowed down, because everybody thinks they're a weed, which is a shame. And then you have to infuse it into the oil before you can ever start your recipe, and strain them out, of course. Oh, the other thing I'm doing is I am watching, where are you, Kate? Anyway, I'm watching Kate Jackson's, she has this lovely video of a snowy walk on the lake, and I've been watching it. The music is just mesmerizing. Okay, so when I make my dandelion lotion bars, they are insect repellent because they have lots and lots of essential oils that repel insects. And I have a drawer. This is my little box of essential oils. This is something you accumulate over years because they are expensive. But this has, let's go in order of importance. Okay. And I need to get some new citronella. The citronella is what you really smell, and the lemongrass. Those are very important. And then it also has lavender, tea tree, and eucalyptus. Those are my 3 big bottles of oils. I invested in those at the local GNC store, health food store, a few years ago, and they've lasted me. And then it also has rosemary and cedarwood. The cedarwood especially gives it that real piney kind of scent. All 7 of those essential oils repel insects. And so this is a really powerful insect repellent, and I can hardly keep these at my market table in the spring and summer and early fall because they always sell. I could sell as many of these as I can make. But I sell them for $5 a piece. I mold them in molds like this, so there's almost no packaging. There's a little plastic bag with a label. So, yeah, I should probably charge more. I should probably charge more for everything. The recipe, which is scratched here, it has 1 part beeswax, 1 part of the safflower oil, and then the 3rd part is a blend of lard and coconut oil. I do half and half there. And then a little bit of jojoba oil. And then you melt all that down in a double boiler. And then you add these 7 insect repellent essential oils. So it's not really hard to make as long as you have all of the ingredients. Okay, is there anything else I'm missing? So I have a lot to do, and the first thing I want to do today, if it warms up enough, it is a kind of a wet, cold day. See, all my daffodils got beaten down by the rain yesterday. But I have to go pick plantain outside. And last night, I finally found some plantain in a good spot in the yard near the road. So I'm going to go pick that this morning and start infusing my oils. That's another long-term recipe where you take, as you know, you've seen me do this, extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil in about equal parts and infuse it with plantain, yarrow, and dandelion leaves. All of these things I pick in my yard, and so I have to wait until they're in season, and the plantain hasn't really emerged until the last couple days. So that's what's on my agenda. I'd really like to listen to Kate Jackson's video again and paint cards. And then when I get tired of that, I would love to spin that roving. But I have other things I have to do, like this. So that's what my day is going to look like. I wonder what your day is looking like. What are you doing that's creative? What do you do to cope with your stress and do well during your day and not let the trials of life get to you? Well, I cannot tell you how fiddly and slightly frustrating all of this was, but I have gotten it done. I'm also putting the lids back on. I like these little tubs. I had to, because I didn't have any labels this size, I had to cut these out of the paper that my other labels come on and handwrite those on there. The handwriting wasn't bad, but the cutting them out and peeling them off was a pain in the neck. And so now, I did all that yesterday, so I thought that would be the most pain in the neck part. Little did I know that filling these tubs would be the most pain in the neck. I could have filled them when my bee balm was a liquid, and I did that one time with one batch, but I have found, in my opinion, that it's really important to let the bee balm cool till it's just a little thick, ideally till it can still run, but that's hard to do. And then you really have to whip it with I'll use an electric mixer. I have an electric mixer, hand mixer, that I keep only for this purpose. I have a lot of kitchen equipment that I keep only for this purpose. And so, and it fluffs it up. I just think it makes a difference. And so all of those things, it's kind of quality control. It makes a difference to me. My goal is not to just sell something. My goal is to make a product that I really love myself, and not to sell anything to anybody that I wouldn't want to use myself. So anyway, for what it's worth, but filling these tubs after it had become solid, and trying to make it look pretty. Thankfully, the sticker kind of covers it up, but some of them, that doesn't look real good. I had one or two at the very beginning that had that creamy look that I like when it'll still pour. But boy, these were messy, and I didn't have enough. I didn't make enough in this little batch I made this morning for this purpose, so I had to actually pull out a big tub. I have cut a 4-ounce tub, and I had to a brand new bee balm, and had to dig into that to finish the last few. But I can use this as I can put this in my refill tub. I can sterilize this jar and use it again, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, so these are just about done, and that order will be complete for that customer. She's a wonderful customer, and so I really don't mind going that extra mile for her because she has been so great. So anyway, and I ordered a whole bunch of these. Where did I put those? Let me show you. I ordered these They came in this big container. They come in packs of 6. I think they hold, oh here, what was it, 15 grams, third of an ounce, something like that. It's hard to find these tubs. I get them on Amazon. It's hard to find them most anywhere else that aren't too expensive. I also had ordered these. These supposedly hold the same amount. They're slightly different shape. They're a little bit, certainly smaller in diameter. They're just a teeny bit taller. Anyway, I like these fine too. They're cute. I might use these for healing herb ointment and these for bee balm, so I can kind of distinguish between them. And so you see, when you do this kind of work, you accumulate so much stuff, packaging and stickers and equipment. So there, that's 20 of those little tubs. I'm sorry to say, I sell them for $1.50 a piece. That is outrageously cheap. I think I went up to $2 a piece, but I can't remember. Isn't that awful? That kind of thing doesn't stick in my head, but I told my friend that they'd be $1.50 a piece, so $1.50 a piece they will be. I'll just say I'm giving her a discount because she ordered a bit of a bulk order. Anyway, but from now on, I am certainly going up to $2 a piece because these things are a lot of work. Now this is our little side yard next to the house, going up toward the road, as you see. And when I walked here yesterday and looked carefully, I did see some plantain just starting out. Don't know that I'm going to use these because they're pretty small. But do you see? Now this is not plantain over here, but this is. See that leaf? See the veins going all the way up and down, and the way it curls at the end. And then when you pull it, it has these little strings that it leaves. That's plantain. That's a pretty young one. I think I'll leave it to grow. I'll just take that one leaf. There's another nice plantain. It's just pretty small too, though. So we'll continue, and I'll show you the bigger plants I found. Oh, along the way I found some very nice dandelion. I think I'll pick this too. Dandelion this time of year is everywhere, so. But this one, it looks fresh and green. It's not an old plant. Try to pick the middle ones and don't get the ones like this leaf is closer to the ground and it's damaged and not as bright green, so I don't take that one. Now here's a lovely plantain plant. Now you can see it's not really very big. There's my hand, but it has lots of leaves. And this is up close to the road, as you will hear. It takes a lot of greenery just to make one little batch of healing herb ointment. Oh, I lost one. I like to leave some to give the plant a chance to grow. Some of these leaves you see are just starting out. You can tell this is a new plant this spring. And when I looked for plants for plantain just a week ago, I didn't find any. So this is pretty new. Okay, let's move on. Now, one weed we have a wonderful abundance of is yarrow. This is just wild yarrow growing underneath a rose bush. These are pretty small still, which tells me they're also new and fresh. But I've got more of this elsewhere in the yard, but we will pick a lot of this to go into our healing herb ointment. Okay. Well, this is the front. See, there's the front of our house, the plastic, and the road is right there. So I'm bending over by all the drivers going by. And we have lots of weeds here. We have grass and various types of dandelions. That's some purple dead nettle. This is dock, I believe. Clover. All kinds of things. The chickens would love it out here, but they get run over. As I was looking here, and of course it's very overgrown and looks pretty rough. As I was out here yesterday, then I came across this lovely, lovely patch of plantain. Look at this. There's some, and then look at all of that. Now here's some plantain leaves. This is the narrow leaf, actually. That's a nice example of some plantain. So I'll harvest most of these big leaves, and this is what I'll be using to make my healing herb ointment. Well, I picked that plant rather heavily. That was the one with the biggest leaves, but it's still got lots of foliage left to grow. This one needs to grow some more, and this one too, with its little skinny leaves. So now I'm going to go find a good bit more dandelion and look for some larger yarrow, and then we will start making some healing herb ointment, because I have some orders that are waiting for that. So this is a nice patch of dandelion. I'm going to take advantage of it. Even if I just get a few tubs this made, it will help a lot. I have plenty for myself. I kind of hoard my healing herb ointment, but I've got some customers, namely my own mother, who's waiting for some. Okay, well, my little basket's looking full, so let's go back inside. Well, my hand is just about frozen from going outside and picking those herbs, but now I'm back inside with a little cookie sheet, and I'm going to pull these out. And I know you've seen me sort through these 3 herbs before, so I won't take you through that process. But this will be probably tomorrow's project. After I get these all clean and dried, then later today, see, like there's I'm not going to keep that little yarrow. I yanked up a whole handful in one spot, and it was included some dead ones. But I am so excited about this plantain. I remember when I first started making this recipe, plantain was hard to find, and I would go searching all over the place for it in the town we lived in then. And but now that we have this little farm, I've learned the places on the farm where it tends to grow, and that's been very helpful. And I look for it, and I kind of nurture it along, tell Adam where it's growing so he doesn't mow there, and that's been very helpful. So we'll get these dried out, cleaned up, and I'm thinking about infusing them slowly in mason jars, like overnight, and then when I melt the oil, putting all of it into a double boiler. Because remember how one time I lost, a jar broke, and I lost half of a batch of healing herb ointment. I don't ever want that to happen again. So I find this to be fiddling with herbs like this to be a leisurely and comforting thing, anything that has to do with nature. And so this will be a fun project. All right, I'll let you go instead of yapping on. Thanks. Bobo! Hey, Tricky! This is the bed for the snap peas. There's nothing in this end, but Adam cleaned it out anyway. I'm thinking about putting flowers in there. My elderberry trees are leafing out. Look at that. And there's my lavender. Crazy lavender. I think one of my elderberries is not surviving. I'm gonna go look. This one looks pretty sad, but it's got a nice tuft of green at the bottom. So I guess I'll leave it alone and see what it wants to do. And this was my latest project. This is our asparagus bed. I really anticipate seeing the first spear any time. There's some little violets that like to grow in here, and I really don't disturb them. I don't want to disturb the asparagus roots, although I had to yank out huge weeds out of here. I had to dig it out with a shovel. They were horrible, so I'm sure that I killed off a lot of asparagus roots. But are there any asparagus spears? I wonder. Usually they show up in this corner first, and you really have to hunt for them to find them, but I don't see any. Wait, I do see one. Hang on. Can you see it? It's way back in there. There it is. The first asparagus spear. Yay! Wow, that's exciting. There may be some more underneath the violets that I just can't see. The asparagus stalks from last year, these are very soft and hollow like a straw. I don't bother with them because they're still connected to that root system and I don't want to disturb it. But the other weeds that were in here had these horrible, they were like trees. They were horrible. And I did have to dig them out. They filled the whole rest of the bed. But this is the primary area for our asparagus growth, so I'm not too worried. Anyway, that is the condition of the garden. The bed on there's one bed on the far end back there, and some old potatoes and sweet potato beds. We probably won't mess with those this year. I think we're doing really well just to get those two long beds and these two small beds in production of early crops. You know, Adam may want to do some work this summer. He likes it when it's hot, 80 and 90 degrees. I don't. But if he decides to get after it this summer and feels up to it, that would be great. I know he wants to work on his fence line. The fence line, even just the garden fence line, is looking kind of rough. That's the kind of work he'll get to later. Now I hesitate to show you this. This is our old hoop house. Adam built this himself. He started with a smaller one, and then because I did enjoy doing it, working in it in the spring, he built this bigger one. And it has a nice solid heavy wooden foundation that's anchored into the ground. Last year, along with many other things during his terrible illness, we just didn't do anything with this. These are some of those weeds that I was talking about. They're like small trees. This is probably the next thing that will have to be cleaned out. He wants to be able to put his riding mower through between the fence. He really can't quite get in there. So he'd like to move it. But to move it, he's going to have to get all this grass out. It just looks rough. This will be a lot of work. This was, we had it covered in heavy-duty plastic, and also the window was covered, and this door would close. And I could work in here even in February and during storms and stuff, and I had all my seedlings in here. Hundreds of tomato seedlings and basil, herbs, all kinds of stuff. Had all my pots stored in here. So it was really, this was my little haven of peace that I love to come to. And so at some point, he's probably going to try to get this in line or do something with this structure. I don't know what, I don't think he can move it. Oh my goodness. It'd be quite hard to move. But the PVC on the side is for rolling the plastic up and down. We could roll it up on the sides to get some more ventilation and roll it back down if we needed it closed. So we'll see what happens with that. Hello, Ruru. Hello, Sheena. Hello, little hens. Hi, Bibby. Oh, Tricky, you're going to scare the birds to death. Leave those birds alone. Ruru will get after you. Won't you, Ruru? Bobo got a haircut today. Bobo, did you get a puppy cut? Did Daddy give you a haircut? Yes, you look so cute. Okay. Let's go in soap. Let's go in soap.